So yeah, it's basically gonna be Jorge killing a bunch of Muppets. That's my dream. Channel. My name is Rachel. Today we're going to be casting the Muppets in Epic the Musical. I've been obsessed with Epic the Musical a lot lately, to the point that Jorge was my top artist for the past 2 months and might even be my top artist again this month. I think that I've been listening to enough Maisie Peters to combat this. However, I thought I was doing that the last 2 months as well, so clearly I've not been. But I really do enjoy this musical. I think it's super fun. I don't think there's a single song that I dislike. I love all of them. They're so good. But as I was listening to a song, there was something about the way that a song was sung that I was like, this is meant to be performed by the Muppets. And I've thought that about multiple songs. It's not even just one specific song. So today, I'm doing the hard work for you and casting the musical. I just think it would be iconic, and I think the vibe of the Muppet and the vibe of the character need to match, regardless of that Muppet's musical ability. Okay? So that's what we're going off on here. Most of the Muppets can sing. I don't think any of the Muppets can't, actually. I think they can all sing. It's a very musical-heavy group, the Muppets.
But the problem's not the distance, it's what lies in between.
We're going to start with the main cast, of course, which is our crew. So, a lot of the Muppet movies do have, 2 to 3 human beings along with the Muppet cast. And so, I think Odysseus should be played by none other than Jorge Rivera Arenas himself. So, Odysseus' casting will not change. I think that he should still be playing Odysseus. And because of that, I also think that Analia should still be playing Penelope. So those will be our 2 humans in the cast. And so the rest of the cast will be played by the Muppets. Starting with Polites, I was trying to figure out who in the Muppets would be the best person for this. I think my brother was recently watching the Muppet movie that what's her name? She's got red hair. Amy Adams? Amy Adams. Is that her name? She plays Giselle. The lady who plays Giselle. She's in a Muppet movie. She also plays Lois Lane. Is it Amy Adams? Why does that feel wrong? Is it not Amy Adams? Hold on. I'm gonna have to Google 1 second. It is Amy Adams. Okay. I was right. The Muppet movie that Amy Adams is in, and they introduce a new Muppet character, Walter, in that movie. And so I think Walter would be great as Polites, personally. I think he's got the vibe for it. I think that, yeah, he looks like you could pour soup in his lap and he'd apologize to you. And that's how I view Polites. Next up, I have Eurylochus, which I think has to be Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog is, the Muppet, so I think that he needs to be in, a leading role. And I also don't think that, if this were real, that the Muppet Company would allow Kermit to be in a background role. I think he would have to play either Odysseus or Eurylochus. I could see Kermit singing Mutiny. There were a couple other Muppets I was considering for Eurylochus. I think Sam the Eagle I was originally considering for Eurylochus. And I actually did consider Kermit for Polites for a second, but I was they're not, he's barely in it. He's Kermit the Frog. He's the leader of the group. He can't be a background character. And I know Polites isn't a background character, but because of how little screen time he has, because he dies so early on, I don't think that Kermit the Frog could play Polites. Also on the ship, but just not as named characters. I think the characters do actually have names, because I went on the Epic fandom wiki, and it does appear that there are named members on the ship besides Polites and Eurylochus. I don't think they're named in any of the songs, but they're named on the fandom wiki, because I assume that they have names in the Odyssey. And so Jorge was okay, this is this guy, and this is this guy, and you're playing this guy, and they were all okay. So, for the crew ensemble, I guess, I've got Gonzo, Clifford, and Beaker. I actually was considering Clifford for Eurylochus as well, but I was that was when I had Kermit as Polites.
Great.
Very well.
All right.
Bring it.
Zeus is the first god that we see back in Horse and the Infant, and I think that Zeus should be played by Sam the Eagle, which is why he didn't get cast as Eurylochus, because I was like, no, Sam the Eagle kind of has to play Zeus. I can't really think of any other character who has, like, the gravitas and, like, the presence to play Zeus the way that Sam the Eagle does. I think that Sam the Eagle is the perfect Zeus. I genuinely can't think of any other Muppet who could do it. I think that they would either have to cast a human or create a whole new Muppet, because they do that occasionally, where they'll create a whole new Muppet for a role. And I think with some of the monsters, maybe they could do that, but I'm not doing that in my casting. Next up, we have Athena. We see her next in Epic. And I think Athena should be played by Janet, because she is the singer of the band, so, like, she has the musical talent, even though that doesn't really matter for this, because it's not actually going to happen, and it's just based on vibes. But, like, I really do see her as Athena. I can definitely see her in that role. I think it'd be very cute if they put, like, a little, like Greek helmet on her. I think that would be adorable. Like, the one that you always see Athena depicted as wearing. I think that that would be great. Next up on my list, I have Aphrodite, which I don't think Aphrodite is the next one. I think they see Aeolus next, but Aphrodite has to be played by Miss Piggy. First of all, Miss Piggy would demand that role. Second of all, if you cast somebody else other than Miss Piggy to play Aphrodite, I believe that the Muppet fandom as a whole would probably riot. I think that Miss Piggy would demand the role. And I also think that if they tried to cast anybody else, Miss Piggy would kill them. I think that Miss Piggy would kill any other Muppet who tried to take the role of Aphrodite from her. She's like, the prettiest person has to be played by me. Who else? Quite frankly, even if there's a better role for Miss Piggy, she doesn't care. She's taking Aphrodite. Because originally I was like, oh, she could play Hera. I feel like she could do a good job as Hera, like Queen of the Gods. And I was like, no. No, she's gonna demand Aphrodite. I think she would see any other role offered as an insult. Next up, I do have Aeolus. There aren't a lot of female Muppets at all. So I am just really quickly gonna take somebody from Sesame Street and bring them over here. And I know that Aeolus, like, actually is, like, a god, not a goddess. But in Epic the Musical, Aeolus is played by a woman. I feel like it just fits. Also, Abby Cadabby as the wind god. The fairy Muppet as the wind god. Abby Cadabby was made for this role. If they do not get Abby Cadabby playing Aeolus stat, I might have to riot. I also think, like, her, like, being, like, a child, like, adds something to it, because Aeolus has this, like, mischief about him. I don't know what pronouns to use. And also, I think Abby Cadabby's laugh really matches Aeolus's laugh. Like, I'm going to play a clip of Abby Cadabby laughing, and then I'm going to play the track where Aeolus laughs. I need you to listen and compare, because they're the same. They're the same, Your Honor, they're the same.
Because I love telling jokes. Ha ha ha, I am the wind, twisting and turning.
Next up, we have Poseidon. And for Poseidon, I was like, is there like a horse Muppet or like a fish Muppet? And then I was like, wait. Where is that Muppet that does the maniacal laugh? I did not know what his name was, because again, casual Muppet enjoyer. His name is Uncle Deadly, and look at him! Who else could play Poseidon but this Muppet? Okay, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Are you looking? I don't think you're looking. This man is Poseidon. Straight up, this is how Poseidon chooses to look on a daily basis. I am fully confident in this casting choice. No one else. No one else. Next up is Hermes, who I have casted as Fozzie Bear. Again, with the laughter thing, I think that Fozzie and Hermes both have a very similar sounding laugh.
Waka waka!
I really do think that Fozzie Bear is a good choice. I also think that Fozzie Bear does, like, need, like, a prominent role, and because Hermes comes back multiple times, I think that this is a good place for Fozzie to be put. Next up, we have Apollo, and I have casted Scooter for the role. I think that at least in Epic the Musical, I think that Apollo has the vibe of, like, I don't know, I feel like his vibe and Scooter's vibe are, like, really similar. And, like, I don't know how to explain it into words, but I feel like they're kindred spirits. That's what it is. I feel like they're kindred spirits. I'm using the word vibe way too much in this video. I used the word slay way too much in the previous video, and now I'm using vibe too much. Next up, we have Hephaestus. And I think Pepe is the perfect choice for Hephaestus. And you're like, but isn't Hephaestus, like, supposed to be, like, super, like, muscular? Because he's, like, in the forge all the time, like, making weapons? Yes. That's what makes it funny. Can you imagine them making Pepe just, like, heft a huge hammer over his tiny little shoulder? The gag would be that he's like, you know at the beginning of Hephaestus' part in God Games, where they're like, they've got, like, the clanging noise, and then they go, Hephaestus. Because it's supposed to be he's, like, hammering something on the anvil. Instead of him hammering something on the anvil and him looking up, he goes to hammer, the hammer weight drags him backwards, and he falls, and then the ensemble goes, Hephaestus, and he has to, like, scuttle up from the wall. It's perfect! I am defending this choice, okay? It's absolutely perfect. Pepe needs to be Hephaestus for that gag and that gag alone. I can see it so clearly in my mind. It's beautiful, okay? I feel like they've done a similar gag with Pepe before. They must have.
You got your elf personal trainer.
Next up we have Ares, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I, like, needed a place for Animal to go. And I was like, he gets, like, angry all the time, like, Ares is the war god. I guess Animal could play Ares. I think I just wanted Animal in the cast, and I was like, this is where he's kind of gotta go. I can't think of a better role in Epic the Musical for Animal to play. I think there are probably Muppets who could play this role better, but I wanted Animal in the musical. If you guys can think of a better place for Animal to go, I would love to hear that. Because I genuinely am like, I don't know where Animal would be casted. Like, but he needs to be in it because he's such an iconic member of the Muppets. Next up we have Hera. So I casted Annie Sue. I am not familiar with Annie Sue's work. But again, there aren't a lot of girl Muppets, so I kind of had to dig deep. I think that's a problem that the Muppet community needs to address. And by community, I mean the people who make the Muppets. Why do you have no women? Where are your women? Also, almost all the women from the Muppets play a secretarial role. I'm like, why are all the women secretaries? What's going on? I'm so confused. Annie Sue does not play a secretary role, but a lot of the other Muppets that I'm going to get to eventually do have it. And I was like, this is weird. Has anybody else noticed that this is weird? People have noticed this, right? Lastly, for the gods, we have Calypso. Because Calypso is technically a goddess. She's really a titan, I think. If my Percy Jackson knowledge has led me anywhere, it's led me to believe that Calypso is not a goddess. She's a titan. And for Calypso, I think Denise would be great for this. Not a lot of women in the Muppets. This is a consistent trend. I can't really borrow from Sesame Street too much because while they are, like, still Jim Henson puppets, they're not Muppets. For that reason, I was like, I'm gonna try to get some, like, Muppets. And so Denise is also, like, yeah, most of the female Muppets are, like, pigs. And I think that that's also weird. Like, the amount of variety that the male Muppets have is, like, there's so much diversity there. Whereas most of the female Muppets are pigs. There are 4 pigs, 1 frog, and a bunch of chickens.
Look at all those chickens!
I think that's weird. I forgot about Janice. Janice is a human, but again, just one.
Just one guy. Just one Spider-Man. Or woman, we don't know. For sure.
So
600 lives I'll take. 600 lives I'll break.
we're gonna start with the Cyclops. I think Sweetums is great for this role. There's also a really tall Muppet in Muppets: A Christmas Carol. Plays the Ghost of Christmas Present, and I think if they still have that Muppet could maybe play the role. But I think that Sweetums looks monstrous enough already that they wouldn't have to make a new Muppet. I think Sweetums would do a great job. For Cersei, I have Jill. I don't know a lot about Jill, but I looked at her picture, and she's a woman, and she's a frog. I toyed with the idea of having Cersei played by a Muppet who was also a pig, because she turns men into pigs, because I thought that might be funny. I decided against it because I think that it kind of goes against what Cersei is trying to do by turning them into pigs. For her to turn them into a version of herself, I don't think that would make sense. So I picked Jill the Frog. And then for Scylla, Camilla the chicken. There are lots of other chickens as well. Camilla's just the main one. And so I think having each head of Scylla as a different chicken would be so fun. Each one of them flies off from a big platform type thing and nose dives into them and knocks them off the ship, and that's how they die. I think that would be great.
Cause I'm stuck with your stories, but no clue who you are.
We of course have Telemachus, and I think Telemachus should be played by Robin the Frog, because oh my god. I'm gonna play this clip that's Robin the Frog singing about how he just turned 5 years old, and I think it's so cute.
And when I sit in my father's chair, my feet can reach the floor. Almost, I'm 5. I'm 5. I'm a big frog now, I'm 5.
For a second I was like, should Telemachus be played by Walter or Scooter? But then I was like, no. Get Robin the Frog in here. That's who we need. That's the man we need. I think Robin the Frog is adorable, and I think that he is perfect for this role. We also have Argos the dog, who doesn't have a speaking part because he is just a dog. But, you know who else is a Muppet and a dog? Ralph? I think he could play Argos. He wouldn't have any speaking lines, he'd just be sitting there, but he's in the animatic for Legendary, so he's got to be in there. Then, of course, we have Odysseus' mom, who we see in the underworld, and taking from Sesame Street again, because I ran out of women. Rosita from Sesame Street, I think would be really great at this role. I don't know, there's just something about her that I'm like, yeah, that's a loving mother. I don't know why.
Hi, Editing Rachel here. Do you know that Rosita has wings now? Apparently she had them when she was first introduced on the show, but they took them away in 2004, and now, in 2021, they brought the wings back. So Rosita has wings again, but I had no idea that she ever had wings. So it was news to me.
And I think that they could probably make another Muppet for this role. They should probably make another Muppet for this role, because quite frankly, there aren't enough women for this musical! Why are there no women in the Muppets? I need to know. I need answers, and I need them now. There were main cast Muppets that I was struggling to fit in because they're all men, and I had roles that were open, but they were women. We also have the Prophet who we meet in the underworld, and I think Bunsen would do great at that. Is it because he doesn't have eyes? Maybe. But I can't really think of anybody else in the Muppets who would do a great job or a better job than Bunsen. So I think that Bunsen is the guy for the part. So then we have our final cast members, which are the guys who try to take over Odysseus' castle while he's stuck on Calypso's island. So the main one has to be Constantine. I think Constantine's great for this role because he is evil, and this is the main evil guy. Then the rest of the band that Animal and Janice are in are going to play 3 other guys who are killed by Odysseus during the Odysseus song, where he takes back the castle. Well, since 2 of their band members are in here, it's rude to exclude the other 3. put the whole band in. Let all of them be in the movie.
So that no more blood is shed. Let's have open arms instead.
Bond ourselves, let's make the bastard rot.
Behind you!
Can still defeat the king if we all attack the prince!
I feel like it could be switched around. It doesn't really matter, but this was what I had decided. Lastly, we've got the Lotus Eater, which I've decided must be played by the critics of the show, Sattler and Waldorf. Because I really, really need them in the musical, because they're so iconic as characters for the Muppets. So I think having the Lotus Eaters insult them the whole time would be funny. Also, there are the Sirens, which Analia normally plays the Sirens as well, but if there were, like, other Sirens, they could be either more chickens, and I don't know what else, because again, there are no female Muppets. There's nobody left. I don't know what to do. I think maybe they could create, like, a mermaid Muppet. Sirens are sometimes depicted as, like, mermaids, and sometimes they're depicted as, like, bone bird creatures that are, like, you know what I mean? That is my casting for Epic the Musical, played by the Muppets. Let me know down in the comments who you would have casted, or if you agree with my casting, or if you would have, like, switched somebody up, or if you know of another female Muppet. I would love to know that information. That would change things drastically. Jim Henson Company, this is a problem. I'm being serious right now. This is a genuine problem. There are not enough women in the Muppets. I genuinely believe that that's something that needs to be rectified. Because what do you mean? What do you mean the only... Like, when you think the Muppets, a lot of people don't even know who Janice is. It's just Miss Piggy. Weird. That's weird. Also, if there were any main cast Muppets that I forgot, they would just be in the ensemble on the ship with Odysseus. Or they would be the people that Odysseus kills. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Rachel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you would have changed any of the castings and who you would have changed it to. Thank you again so much for watching. Bye!